Hi, this is Lulu again, compulsive overeater. We're going to talk about the fear part of the resentment writing, not to be confused with the fear inventory. That's a whole separate inventory that starts after this last paragraph on 67 that we read. The next paragraph says, notice that the word fear is bracketed alongside difficulties, blah, blah, blah. So that, in the next couple of paragraphs, is all this whole separate fear inventory. And that we're going to talk about another time. But in that paragraph in the middle of page 67, it says, where have I been selfish, dishonest, self-seeking, and frightened? So there is a frightened part in the fourth step resentment writing that has to do with fear. And then there's the fourth step fear inventory, which is the same but separate. Those would be fears that may not even be in correlate with resentments. They're just fears. They're not about resentments. So we want to say, how have we been afraid? Oh, did I have a hard time with this one? Because I was just like, I'm not afraid. I'm not. What are you talking about? You know? What do you mean I'm afraid? I just felt like I was a confident person. And, you know, I just, other than being an overweight drunk that smoked her brains out, other than that, I was just perfect. Everybody else was wrong, you know? So I didn't understand what I was afraid of. I am not afraid of that. I just don't want it to happen, you know? So this is how I'm playing. What does that even mean, that I'm afraid of it? If I think you should stop doing that, it's just because it's the right thing to do, and I'm not afraid. You just need to stop doing it. Until it was pointed out to me, the fears, and they're very, very, very common fears that your typical addict has. So there's like 5 basic fears, and they permeate relationships. And so now we're going to go. So now on each page in our Google Doc, we have, I resent so-and-so, causes the list, affects my, whatever you've picked from the cheat sheet list. The next one is self-seeking. It will be a list of the things that you picked from that self-seeking list, the things that you do to make yourself feel better when this stuff is happening. The next one is going to say fear. And then you're going to pick one or all or anything in between of these typical fears of an addict. And I'll explain each one. Not that they really need any explaining, but this is them. Okay. So I have the fear of not having control. I have a fear of losing control. The difference between those two is I fear not having control, meaning I need to have control and I don't have control. And the losing control means I had control, but I'm going to lose it, or I've lost it. So it's like you actually believe that you actually had it and you've lost it. So you'll see with each person and the causes and the harms done to you, you'll see which one feels right. That will likely be on just about every single one. If it's not, it's kind of incredible, because basically somebody's doing something we don't want them to do. I don't have control. And I didn't think of it as a fear, but I'm afraid of not having control. I want control. I need you need to stop doing that. Not being good enough, you know, a fear of not being good enough. You know, this person is, whatever they've done to me, whatever they've done to me has caused me to make me question my value. And if I'm good enough or not, then that would be because of my fear of not being good enough. That's why what you're doing is troubling me. Other people's opinions, big one. If a lot of times you'll read what you'll read, you'll either be afraid of that person's opinion, or you'll be afraid of what that person is doing and how other people will perceive you, and what other people might say about you. But other people's opinions, what other people think of you, and living your life according to what other people think is the biggest waste of time. I spent so much wasted energy, burned up energy foolishly, worrying about other people's opinions. And when this starts to unravel in your fourth step writing, and then you bring it to your fifth step and your sixth step, and you will be amazed. You will be amazed at just being enlightened of these things that you didn't even know about yourself. That's what happened for me. Not getting what I need, or not getting what I want. Those are the same thing, but they're different. If it's something that I believe that I truly need, then I will write, I'm not getting what I need, or not getting what I want. If it says, you should, you left me, you left me, and you broke up with me. You shouldn't have broken up with me. There's my, I don't have control. Or maybe I had control in that relationship at one point, but now I've lost it. So I have a fear of losing control. Not being good enough would be on it, because feeling not good enough, I was just left. Other people's opinions, what are people going to think of me because my boyfriend just left me? Geez, I wonder if I can tell them that I dumped him, because then they won't think that I was dumped. Not getting what I want or need. I might think like I need him back. Do I need him back, or do I want him back? Likely, if I'm all fired up about this, it's going to really feel like a need. And then I would say not getting what I need, and losing what I have. See, for something like that example, it would probably be all five, because now I'm losing what I have, nice, secure relationship, right? If I have a grown daughter that's in college and failing, she's failing in college, and I'm right. I resent my daughter because she's flunking out of college, and I'm paying all this money, and she's just screwing around. That's not true. But I would say I have a fear of not having control, because I can't put the paper in her hand and make her do her work and make her do it right. Not being good enough, because did I raise a child that is going to go to college and flunk? Like, that makes me not good enough of a mother. Like, I'm going to blame myself. Other people's opinions. Oh my God. I want to go and say, my daughter is a dentist, or my daughter is a lawyer. But no, I have to say my daughter's going to flunk out. So that would be other people's opinions. Not getting what I want or need. I guess I would think I would feel like I would need her to do well in college, because I would want to know that she was going to be safe and have a career that she could support herself. Losing what I have. That probably wouldn't come into play on that one. Maybe it would, if I could feel it. I could probably find it. I could say, like, right now I have, bragging rights to my kids, and now that I'm going to lose that, because the minute instead of saying my daughter goes to Harvard, I got to say my daughter flunked out of Harvard, right? So I'm going to lose this fantasy that I have, that I can brag about my kids. All that isn't true, but I'm just saying. That's why we have to come up with a really good example to go through. We'll be maybe we'll prepare for the first time, and we'll be prepared next Tuesday with an example. So anyway, on each one you have fear, and then you just list them. You might just have one. It might just say not having control. It might be not having control in other people's opinions. That's all. As you just keep scanning, keep scanning those causes, those injuries done to you. Just keep skimming them and reading them over and over as you're entertaining each one of these ideas, and see where they pertain. And you'll find it. You'll find it. You're like, oh, there, I was just losing what I have. I don't want so-and-so, I resent so-and-so because they're sick and they don't take care of themselves and they're going to die. You don't have control. You're not getting what you want, and you're going to lose what you have. But can you see how maybe other people's opinions doesn't come into something like that? Not being good enough maybe doesn't come into that. Can you feel that difference? Like another example, Um, you know, if you go back to your childhood and you say, my mother should have this, and this, my mother, you know, never paid attention to me, or my mother didn't hug me, or, you know, my mother was never affectionate, just say that was it. You'd say, definitely you would feel the fear of not being good enough, because if I was good enough, she would have hugged me, right? Other people's opinions, probably not. Not getting what I would probably pick need. I would feel like I would have needed that. Losing what I have, no, because I wouldn't have had it to begin with. Yeah, so it might just be those few things. But what you're going to do is, that would be, you know, you have to take all of them, and just the ones, if there's 3 things on your list that are all things about other people's opinions, you just have to write other people's opinions once. Just have, it's per person, not per resentment on the list, just per person, place or thing, per person, place or thing. So that's what I have on the fear instructions. And then next week, we're going to do the dishonesty and the selfish part. But for now, that's good. Do you have anything else on the fear writing, Shalise?
Nope, I think that's perfect.
Yeah. Does anybody have any questions before we stop the recording? If anybody has any questions.
And pop them into the chat section.
Yeah, and also whoever is listening to this, the people that are here and the people that are listen to it another time, any of these instructions, if you're going to work, see, I mean, you need to have a sponsor, right? You need to have a sponsor. Like this whole blog spot is not about, you don't need a sponsor. You can just follow these recordings and you can get well, right? You have to have a sponsor. Although some people are sponsoring like with food and maybe don't have experience in the steps, and some people have a food sponsor. And I think if you have a food sponsor and an established relationship with a food sponsor that's helping you with your food, and you're checking in and you're developing a nice connection and program, I think that I hope that this could help people go through the steps. And especially with me and Shalisa's contact information, because if you were doing the writing the way that we've been explaining it, whenever you get into a situation, you just email us a question. That's all. That's what my sponsees do. What I'm saying is what I say to them. And then when they do it, they email me questions sometimes. They might say, on this one, what would you say my fears would be? I'm having a hard time figuring it out. Or what would be my, you know, are these causes, do these look okay? You know, so you just ask, you know. And the only thing we haven't figured out yet is when you get to step 5, you know, who takes you step 5? but we're going to have an answer before we get there. We don't have to worry about tomorrow or yesterday. We're just right
I've
here.
got all that covered, right? We'll just let that.
We're gonna figure it out. We're gonna figure it out. You'll all have each other to do your step 5 with.
Exactly.
How cool would that be?
Exactly.